wanna be a rich bitch. Penthouse doorman, money, 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 rich bitch. Hey, give me that bag, rich bitch.
Yes, you're so rich.
So much for that do not disturb.
I have it on. I don't know why it's not working.
It's because you got a brand deal and you're like, answer it.
Like, answer the brand deal.
Answer the brand deal.
No, not to start it off like this, and it sounds so freaking silly business. But how do you know when it's real? When you have an offer on Instagram, they're like, okay, we want you to put this shirt, buy this shirt. We'll give you this shirt, and then we'll give you a code, and someone will buy it, and then you'll get money, or we'll offer you this much money.
I think this is solvable by Google, perhaps. Like, look up the company, see how legit they are, see who else has done brand deals with them.
Right.
And I guess go from there. But like anytime someone's like, oh, here, buy this thing and like whatever, I'm like,
yeah,
no,
I find that
sorry,
to be big red flags.
Not doing it.
Clifford the big red dog flag.
Clifford the big red dog flag. I wouldn't do it. If they offer you any kind of discount or spending, you have to spend money to do it, then no.
It kind of reminds me when I was first starting out as an actor, and like the first thing you should never do is ever work with an agent who's like, pay me.
Right.
And that's so dumb. Don't do that.
So dumb. Well, and I know so many people, even like well into my adulthood, who were doing that.
Really?
Like, there was a guy I worked with who had an opera agent who he had to pay a monthly retainer. And I was like,
that's
no,
illegal.
that's not how that works at all. Like for any union of any kind.
No. Even if he's not in a union, that's just not.
It's just not ethical.
Do you pay your question when you're looking for a new job? Perhaps not to looking around the room. I don't know where I'm looking, but if someone's looking for a new job and you have like a headhunter person, they get a percentage of what they get you. Correct? You're not paying them. Right?
No. Okay, so the way that works is like the recruiter relationship.
Yeah.
So basically, the company pays them a rate for recruiting, and then if that person gets hired on full time, they get a bonus.
Oh, great! But you're not, like I say.
No, your pay is not penalized.
That's what I mean. So
as far as I know,
right. So my point is like, why are we like every agent? And this is for anyone who's going to be in the creative field. Anytime you have like an agent person like repping you, no, do not pay them unless you don't pay them. They take 20%.
Yeah, I would be
10% actually.
It's
managers is
20. Yeah, and there's like one other circumstances where 20 is okay.
Print is a little different.
Yeah. But I just like I cannot believe that in the year of our Lady Gaga, that like people are still being bamboozled by others who are like, pay me and I'll be your agent.
It's
like,
fucked up.
How is that still happening? I so don't have my finger on that pulse.
It's definitely still happening because I can see. I'll still get this. I mean, I feel like maybe it's like out of touch, but like I still get emails that I'm like, this is obviously spam. Who would fall for this? And then I'll meet someone who said I did that thing, and I'm like, oh damn.
Wow, you're a dumbass.
Yeah, you're dumb. Like I know someone who literally got the hey, you booked this photo shoot, like Model Mayhem shit. You booked this photo shoot, and we're gonna send you. We're gonna, I forget what they say. We're gonna send you a check for this much, but then you take out this much.
Oh
and
my
like
God,
they did it.
No.
And that's where they're at, and that's totally a scam. And don't do it, children. I'm turning up our volumes because we're a little lower than normal.
Are we? Okay.
I'm just making sure. We were so much louder.
Should we just talk louder?
Maybe we should just. Okay, no, let's not do that.
No, let's not do that.
That's terrible. Okay, good. Well, at least I'm getting a little yellow.
Cool. We're getting a little yellow.
That's great.
Cool.
Okay, you're good. You're good. But yeah, it's been a minute, huh?
It's been a minute.
It's been a hot second.
In a minute, I'm gonna need a sentimental Sarah Seeds to update me.
Yeah, seriously.
You have been doing all the things. You've been all over the country. Let's start with your jet setting.
Oh man.
Because I think the last time we were sitting in a room with microphones in our face, you were just about to jet set.
Were we? I don't know. Was the last one we did in Nashville, or was it when I had come back and I was in Chicago? Did we? It
might have been Chicago.
Okay, I was in Chicago.
Yeah,
guys. I mean, booked and blessed, baby. It was actually really draining, but it was great. It was good to travel, good to like do some fun work, and I'm glad to be in New York though. But honestly, after jet setting a bunch and then going on a dope vacation to the Smoky Mountains and going to Dollywood, that was honestly.
Oh, I've never been to Dollywood. I want to go.
Dollywood is so amazing. Because Dolly Parton is so amazing.
True.
Which we know. Like, I'm trying to compare it. It's like, okay, if you go to Disney World and you go to Frontierland, it's just Frontierland, but it's amazing. It's like Dollywood Frontierland. You know, it's like dollied. You know,
It's been
it's
dollied.
real.
You've
It's
been
real
dollied.
southern. Yeah, it's real southern. There's chicken coops. No, there's not. But there's bald eagles, and there's all this crazy stuff going down. And there's cinnamon bread that they make at the mill.
Oh my God, that sounds
And the
amazing.
cinnamon
I
bread's-
love cinnamon bread.
Fox.
Oh,
Cinnamon bread fox. Yeah, and it's vegetarian.
that cinnamon bread fucks.
Yeah. You ever tried that cinnamon bread? It fucks.
It fucks.
Do you understand? Yeah, when you eat that cinnamon bread, that's when you become a man. You know what I mean? Like that's the or you become a woman because
Right.
it's Dolly.
Because it's Dolly.
Yeah, I ate that cinnamon bread. I was like,
Like
yeah.
some people have bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs.
Yeah.
Other people have Dollywood cinnamon
Cinnamon
bread.
bread at the steel mill. It's literally called. Come on down to steel mill, get yourself some Dolly's.
Dolly's famous cinnamon bread.
Cinnamon bread.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Love her. Love everything she stands for. She loves. She's amazing.
She's the best. Yeah.
She's one of those people that's like openly very. I'm Christian, quote unquote, but then she actually acts like she is. Like
Right.
she actually like acts like what Jesus would want.
Right. It's not just a label.
It's not just like something she is. She puts her money where her mouth is and all that other stuff. She is killing it. Yeah. No, I saw a video of her recently. I follow her on Instagram, of course. And she was doing an interview and they're like, blah, blah. And she's like, I look like a damn drag queen every day of my life. I was like, that's my goal. Like, I want to be you. Like,
Oh my God. She's such a legend.
she's absolutely a legend. And she sings about things that are meaningful. And she's so smart and such a savvy businesswoman. And to be the child of like, 9 or something and live in a 1-bedroom house and what
She was the hill people.
She was literally the hills have eyes, but she has tatas.
Well, but I mean, like, I think I remember seeing an interview with her too, where she was talking about how like there was the outhouse and there was like
Yep.
no real running water and there was like
Oh, yeah,
a
there's
lake
none of
or
that.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't live her life, so I can't speak
Well,
for her.
I
but,
can
like,
say because I walked through her childhood home. It's in Dollywood, a replica of it.
Oh, really?
It's so iconic.
Oh, wow.
You walk through her childhood home and you're like, wow.
What in the world?
Yeah, it's incredible what
Wow.
she's done. I mean, her story is incredible.
Yeah. I just remember that my favorite thing about her is the way that she got the look that she developed was because of this woman in her town that when she was a little girl, she thought was so pretty and everyone called her trash. They're like, oh, she's trash. And she just remembered thinking like, well, I want to grow up and be trash.
I don't know like that.
So that's where like the boobs and the hair and the makeup and all that comes
Yeah.
from. It's from the girl who was like the town trash. Like
What's so crazy
I
is
don't know.
all the work she's had done, which she is open about, which I truly love. But then you look at like someone like Madonna who did something really weird that went too far, and
Went
you're
too
like,
far.
and God, Madonna's my favorite person, so that really hurts me.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm like, what?
But also like that to
That
me.
filler was so intense.
To me, that's like a testament that like you don't have people around you who care enough about you to
Yes.
tell you no.
Please don't.
Like I
Dolly
recently,
looks sickening. Still.
I recently had a friend confide in me that they wanted to have a neck lift, and they are
What does that even mean?
they are my age, and I was like, you're gonna end up looking like Goldie Hawn or Mickey Rourke or some shit. Like,
Mickey Rourke.
like just stop.
Sorry, Mickey.
Sorry, Mickey.
Sorry,
But
Mickey,
just
but-
stop. Like, I mean, I understand body dysmorphia better than anybody. Like,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, like, my neck is in my lap and, like, I have
Wow.
tits to the floor. So, like,
Do you feel that way, Cleo? Sorry, we have a resident. We have a resident.
resident
cat.
podcast pussy.
Cleo. Yeah, resident podcast Kiki Kaka. Little puss over
Miss
there.
Cleo.
It's Cleo. Give the people what they want. Show the people what you want.
But yeah, but, like, I don't know if I would ever go that far.
Yeah.
And if I did, I would like to think that I had friends close enough
Yeah,
to
I
me
would
to be
say,
like, listen.
Boo-boo, what is that, first off? And second off,
Right. Can you
why?
not? Can you not?
Just don't.
Yeah.
Well, that gets into, okay, we're going to go back to Dollywood. Well, let me just stay on this track, but there's something that's in the vein of what we're talking about here, and it's about the whale.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
And all the
What-
all the trigger that I had
all
of
the
that.
triggers that we had when we saw that.
More updates coming
we'll,
soon.
We'll have,
Okay,
as soon
we'll
as
get-
I get past my little mountain time, then we'll talk about our excursion to the Inwood Film Festival. Shout out to Aaron who curates the whole thing. So awesome. Been on his podcast. He needs to be on ours.
Hello.
He's an uptown boo-boo. Good times. But anyway, yeah, Dollywood was a really great time. But here's what also really just got me. The roller coasters were exquisite and they were freaky. They were huge. They were
Oh, wow.
a high octane. The first one we went on was like 0 to 75 in like 3 seconds.
See, I don't think of Dollywood and think crazy roller coasters.
Me neither did I, but I thank
To
God.
be honest, I didn't even know that they had them.
They had more than...
I'm not really sure what I thought Dollywood was.
Sure.
Because I've never been there.
Yes.
But like, this is interesting to hear.
Yeah, because I'm a roller coaster junkie. Like
I was when I was a kid.
I am for the rest of my life. My dad ruined me because I was 4 and I was probably 2'2", you know, and we get on this roller coaster and it's the Super Duper Looper at Hershey
Oh my
Park.
God. I grew up right by
Yeah,
there.
you get it.
Yeah,
you know
I
exactly.
get it.
What
We went every year.
Love that Hershey Park.
Yeah.
All the chocolatey
The
goodness.
Super Duper Looper and the
Super Duper.
Sidewinder and the Comet. The Comet was my first
Scrambler.
roller coaster.
Yeah. Oh, the Comet is
The Comet was my first roller coaster. My dad took us on. My mom was like, no. And we were like, yeah. And I remember going down the hill and like coming up out of my seat and being so afraid that I was going to fall. And it didn't, like I didn't. So it was kind of like, cool, let's do it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, because I'm a big person, I'm like, no, I'm not going on this ride. I'm going to get tumbled. Scarlett's going to take a tumble out of this roller coaster.
Well, that's something to, okay. Well, I have a word on that too. But yeah, no, these roller coasters were slamming. I mean,
amazing.
like there's one where it's an eagle and either side are three seats and you're hanging. And it's like an eagle's like doing it on a roller coaster.
Oh,
It's
cool.
wild. And the drop is insane. Your heart is in your throat. I mean, it's like wild shit.
That sounds like fun.
So my dad, when I was little, we went on the Super Duper Looper. I was definitely not tall enough. And the guy said, sir, I don't think my dad's like, it's fine. I'll hold her down. It's going to be fine. And so he had his arm on me and the thing was down and it was the ride of my life. He goes, open your eyes. When we went on, he wanted me to have my eyes open when we went upside down because that was how you know. Like, you're going to love this.
Oh, I love that. I love that you have history with Pennsylvania as a child.
I do. I have so much history with PA. That's where my grandmother was in Pittsburgh. So we would go there all the time.
Kennywood.
Kennywood, for sure.
Oh, my God. We only went once as kids, but like the Thunderbolt, that big drop. Ugh.
Oh, there's another Idlewild Park.
Oh, I don't know that one.
One's really cute. And Storybook Force is all Mr. Rogers characters. And it's super cute.
Oh, funny. Well, there's also Dorney Park and there's also Knoebels.
Okay, Dorney Park is another one. Dorney Park, and there's another one where it's like Cedar Point, which are where like the roller coasters be.
Right. Well, Cedar Point is Ohio.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, like, these are like the Dorney Park you think of too.
Dorney Park is pretty wild.
That's what I mean.
Cedar Point okay, so when we were kids, we had like the roller coaster tycoon game.
Oh, yes. We talked about that while we were there.
Right. But then there was also like there was like a 3D TV video VHS thing that you could like wear these glasses and sit in front of your TV and it felt like you were on the roller coaster. Oh. And a lot of the ones that they did were Sandusky, Ohio. And because of that video and because of that game, I had the books. There was one called The Beast. And there was a book, Beast 1 and Beast 2, and I read both of them, and it was about the roller coaster. It was crazy. But I never went. I never went. I briefly had an encounter / dating situation thing with
a roller coaster?
a boy who was from Sandusky, and he worked at Cedar Point a lot. But I met him when he was in college.
Have you seen that video of that woman who's sexually attracted to roller coasters? And
yes, and she's like married to one. Yeah,
Anyway,
and she like lays on it. Yeah,
I'm not trying to drag her in.
No.
But I'm just saying
it exists.
That came up when you said that.
I understand it. It's like a big, strong, hard thing.
Sure.
Let me have it.
Hold me.
Give me that
closer,
super
tiny
duper looper.
Oh God, no, I don't want to mix all those memories together. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying though. There's like these like big, like top tier roller coaster things. I've been to most of them. What blew my mind is this compares highly. This is like in the top tier of roller coaster parks I've ever been to, and I've been to so many. And I sat here and was like, Dolly, did you done snatch my wig, girl? I walked in, she's like, pray to Jesus, bitch, and then pull my wig off. For real. Like, she snatched me. And then there was another ride that was like a mine cart little ride, and then there was like, everything was just so curated and so beautiful and well-maintained. And you walked in and it was just like beautiful rainbow umbrellas and like just Dolly living. Oh, you showed me that picture. And like
it looks so
her
nice.
Music's blasting, but other people too. It's not just about her, which I love about her. But she's still
But it should just be about her.
Like she's one of those people. But where we were staying in the Smoky Mountains, was this beautiful cabin with this like panoramic view of the Smoky Mountain. I love national parks that they're never going to be touched because it's just like they're so beautiful. Thank you, Teddy Roosevelt, for all that shit. He's the one who Teddy Roosevelt. He's the one who literally. That's why we have national parks. Is he did all that shit. And I'm so on board. I love hiking. I love being in that energy. I love knowing that like I'm walking down this path. My phone does not work and it's just us and people hiking, but animals, and it's quiet and you can't hear anything but nature breathing, you know, and it's such a magical, it's just a beautiful feeling.
I love that.
I needed it after jet setting all over the place. And also like just being worn down by like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. I like literally finished everything that I needed to do. So I had time to just be
And just
while
ran
I was
away.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except for the national board meeting about certain things. And then,
Yeah, we'll get to that too.
Yeah. But it was really awesome. And we saw 6 bears, guys. First off, black bears are adorable.
They're adorable.
All they want is honey. All they want is candy and cookies and sweets. All they do. And they eat grass and they eat sweets and cookies. They want nothing to do with people. They don't want to bite us. They don't want to hurt us. They're just silly honey bears out there. And I sent you the video, but there's like, we were coming down from the cabin, driving down, and just 6 of them across the road, 6 bears, just casually. We were just like, what the hell? And it's just these cute black bears just walking across the road, so adorable.
I love a bear. When I was a kid, when I was a bear, LOL, Freudian slip. When I was a kid, I wanted either a bear cub or a lion cub as a pet.
Yeah.
I was that kid.
I wanted a tiger, yeah.
Yeah. I just want like, and now I see like these chow dogs, like the mini chows, and I'm like,
Big faces.
I want one because it looks like a bear and a lion. It's like
it's
the
a bear
best of
lion.
both worlds.
There's some dumb town that literally thought there was a lion loose and it was a damn chow.
Oh no.
Some stupid town somewhere in Maryland when I was growing up there, like out in Carroll County, Maryland. There's more cows than people. And yeah, there was a random chow that got loose and people literally thought a lion was loose. And people were like, oh my God. It's just like,
it's a dog.
it's a damn dog just running around. It's trying to be a dog.
What have we come to?
What are we doing? Anyway, so the Smoky Mountains were beautiful. I'll show you some pictures, but the beautiful, this thing about a hike which has a trajectory where you're like, you start somewhere, you go through different like areas, like there's the water in the bridges and then the trees, and then there's a flat plateau, and there's a rocky, jagged like staircases that are thing. And my dad, who's by the way 3 years from 70, made the whole way.
That's such a rock star.
Such
move.
a baddie.
Yeah.
And then we got to the top, and it was just a view of like all the mountains. It's like you're lost. It's like Fern Gully, man. It's like you're deep in it, and you can't even.
Fern Gully.
I know.
Such a good movie.
Right, Cleo. I know, right? She's really paying attention. She really is actually. Anyway, it was just a brilliant time, and I highly recommend like. Also, you know how they say, like, you go to places that are in the middle of nowhere, and it's honestly with the laws that are restrictive on women in these states, and you know how it is. There was a lot of really great people there, and I was happy to see that a lot of people, it's not, sure, there's stereotypical shit. There's in New York. Look around. But there's a lot of really wonderful people that don't stand for a lot of that, and that are really, really intelligent and really fun to talk to. And we met a lot of those. And we did this really cool thing called Astra Lumina, which is art installations, light art installations in the woods.
Oh my God, you showed me those pictures. Those are so wild.
Yeah, it's from this, it's like, it's on this Anarchista thing where you take, which by the way, everyone could have died on this. I don't know why. It reminds me of how like our train system here is just a platform and there's the train. And if you're an idiot, go, you know what I mean?
Done.
There's really no,
Yeah.
It's the same thing about these lifts. Like it's like a ski lift, but you literally just sit down like, okay, pull the bar down. And you're like, what if I never do? And just like, woo, like people could not.
Like you're just going on blind
It's
faith.
wild.
Yeah.
So me, Mike, and my brother Matthew were just like on this ski thing, and it takes you up to the mountain. As soon as you land, there were 2 girls performing some song and dressed as fairies and like shops and on top of a mountain. And then there's like restaurants and a bar and like a, you know, it was wild.
Oh my God, I want to go.
I know, it was really fun. And you just mountains around you, just mountains as far as the eye can see. But at this Anarchista event, a thingy, there was a mountain coaster. I don't know if you've ever heard of a mountain coaster.
Oh yes, they like you like lay down on it.
Yeah, you like sometimes you lay, sometimes you sit, but it's usually you on one thing, and you just go through a mountain on a coaster track, and it's surreal because you're going on this like I have video footage of me on one of them that I want to post on social media. It's so insane, but you're just like going through a coaster through trees and just a mountain by yourself, just you in the mountains, and you're like, this is so wild, like, and so unregulated. I mean, I don't know about this, baby.
Right, like there's some kind of code being broken here.
But you were talking about the weight thing, yeah. For the then you were like, I won't get on a coaster. I'm like, okay, but yeah, maybe these mountain coasters because they literally weighed me, and they were like, yeah, you're good. But they weighed like another person behind me, and they weren't that much bigger. They weren't big, and they were like, no, because they're like so.
Right,
know?
like they don't want you to topple off the edge of the mountain.
Yeah,
right?
so yeah, there's some warrant in that, but I think these big coasters, boo, you'd be fine. I don't think you'd be.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
But and then lastly was the Astro Lumina. So when the sun sets, if you get special side tickets, you go through this beautiful through the mountain pathway, and it's all lights and things about the universe and
that disco ball thing that you showed me was crazy.
And lasers and things, and I'm like, here we are in Appalachia. And
Here
we're
we
talking
are.
about
Science.
astrophysicists, science, and the culmination of life, and how what that. I was like, you know what? Cool work. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, Dolly Parton and this can get it. Now there were other things where I was like, yeesh, but you know, I just avoided that.
Right.
Like
right.
Margaritaville. Oh God.
Oh, God.
Like, Jimmy Buffett, not a fan. Just
God love
please
him.
don't. Just don't. Like maybe he's nice, but the vibe of that whole thing, middle. Like middle-aged white people in Hawaiian shirts. Like, I just can't get into that shit.
No.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but Jimmy Buffett, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but no.
But yeah, I'm just not going to go.
I don't know why you're at Appalachia Town. I don't get this.
I mean, I do appreciate the like the rollout of like how Margaritaville was the song, and then it was the musical, and then there's a
musical?
Yeah, Escape to Margaritaville. Wow. It wasn't very good, and it didn't run very long.
Yeah.
But like it was like the rollout of like that into the chain restaurant thing that opened, because now there's one down in Times Square and they're all over the place.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah. Especially
in like Myrtle Beach, they're everywhere, and they're at the.
Oh my God! In Disney, there's a whole resort called Margaritaville.
They're in this app in where I'm at in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. There's a giant Margaritaville resort.
Oh my God! It's probably wild. The same thing. I almost stayed there over COVID because friends were getting married and we were trying to be like safe
You're
about
wasting
it.
Away again.
And then they ended up, not getting. Well, they did get married. They stopped. They did get married, just not down there. Because it got canceled.
No wonder you went to Margaritaville.
Right? No, it got canceled. Like the venue, they were doing it at Disney.
Oh, cool!
With like the castle and the carriage and all the things.
That's like 50,000.
Well, the wedding that they ended up having was probably about 10 times that. So they made up for it.
Was that the cool mountain one that you went to?
No. Although that one I'm pretty sure was not inexpensive either.
No, it looked gorgeous.
This was in what is it? Ocala Castle or something castle in Long Island.
Cool.
Used to be a military school. Now it's a castle that you can like rent out different sections of it for weddings and events and stuff. We had like the first floor, like the whole thing. And then there was a horse and carriage, and like it was stunning. Beautiful wedding. Had the best time. Greatest people ever.
Cool.
But Lordy with the price tag on that.
Yeah, Lordy. Sorry with the
don't even want to know. Yeah. Price tag with the fringe on top.
Sorry with the price tag with the fringe on top. Yeah, no, but yeah. So anyway, that was my so I needed that. And then coming back to New York, it's just been go again. I'm on the short list for another print thing, which is great. Booked another voiceover, auditioning like crazy. So even with the strike, there's certain projects that are still holding on that eventually it'll come around and we'll get there. And I'm, but then there's a lot of indie stuff, that's not going to be as affected. So
yeah,
but solidarity, truly solidarity. Yeah. But there was something I was going to connect to something, and I forgot now.
I forgot now too. Fuck. Oh no, we were
like,
talking about the national meeting.
Yeah, but there was something about God. I wish y'all. I'm stuck at this. I need to write down.
Right, we need to take notes.
There's like something about like telling your friend. Oh, the whale. Okay, so let's talk about your time, then we'll talk about our experience.
Okay, cool.
Film festival.
Yeah, I mean, so, oh my God, the last couple months of my life have been absolutely ridiculous and insane. Like, I've been working nonstop, but it has been for like no money because the work structure that I was on was commission only, which I fully agreed to. Mm-hmm. But it's just like there was a lot of blurred lines in that kind of work environment where I was definitely 1099, but there were definitely not 1099 things happening. And so it just got more and more frustrating to me because I wasn't making what I needed to be making at all and never had throughout the whole course of the thing. And, you know, I certainly have opinions about that I won't share just yet, but like, you know, it was wild. And so finally that has, as of today, come to an amicable end. I was not reoffered my contract, which is completely fine with me.
Yeah.
Because even, you know, and it's kind of exciting to be like recording this today, because not only is today my last day with them, but I've also had an insane day of like doing job interviews and getting job interviews.
Amazing.
I just did one with Warner Brothers. I have another one. I have 3 tomorrow. I have another one Friday. And I'm sure there will be more next week because I got a bunch of referrals to different recruiters and I have all this other stuff going on. And then on top of that, I've been like getting a lot of like film and television people coming into my radar again that I haven't talked to in ages, who have been really, really helpful with like information and contacts and whatnot for the adaptation of my book for Pilot.
Yeah.
Which has just been so validating and so nice because it's what I want for it and I want it so bad. And, you know, I think I've mentioned this before, but like everything in my creative life feels like it's going exactly the way that I want it to. But then everything in my work life, like where I actually make money right now, is a dumpster fire. And I'm like, what do I do? It is, because I've never had that. It's always been the other way around. It's always been like the creative thing felt like the uphill climb and the work thing was easy.
Right.
And I'm not sure exactly, I can't put my finger on it, but I know that there was a shift somewhere where all of that just started to happen. And it's like, what do I do now? This is uncharted territory. But it's been really good. And, you know, on top of that, like with the ending of this current job situation, eye roll, tomorrow.
For those you can't see.
The eyes are rolling. Tomorrow is my New York City 18-year anniversary.
Oh my God.
Which is insane.
That's wild.
18 years ago tomorrow.
You were born.
My little baby self.
You'd be like an 18-year-old if you were born like the day you got here.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, I mean, 18 years ago, I packed up my little bedroom in my parents' house and I packed it all into my mom's minivan with my friend Christina. And we drove our asses up here to New York City on 108th Street in East Harlem. And the guy that I volunteered to help me unpack the car from gay.com was standing right outside the door.
Gay.com.
And he helped me move all my shit in with my lime green chartreuse colored reupholstered couch that I got for $80.
Is that the one that you still?
No, it's long gone.
You love.
I love green.
Couches.
I know.
Yeah.
It was like this chartreusey green. We bought the couch. We took it apart. We reupholstered it. A friend of mine from high school helped me do it with a staple gun. And threw it in the back of my mom's minivan with like my boxes and shit. And I painted that apartment to death, and like it was a look. There's got to be photos of it around here somewhere, but it was a
really
look.
love to see it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was 18 years ago today, and the first week that I lived here, someone broke into my apartment through the fire escape while I was in the shower. And I didn't know that it happened. I was in the shower being my gay old self, like singing Christina Aguilera with my boombox. You remember boom boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And
what song was it? Do you remember?
I don't know. It might have been Beautiful. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I got out of the shower and I dried off and I wrapped my towel around myself and I walked around the thing and went to my bedroom and it was trashed. And the window was open and I was like, fuck. And so
raccoon got in.
I called the police and they came and I'm standing in my apartment in a towel, like with the cops there. And I was like,
and you're like, I dated one of them.
I wish. He fucked me right there. He didn't. But I was like, I should get dressed, but that's a crime scene, so I shouldn't touch it. So I was just like, I'm in a towel.
Yeah, like I don't
Sorry.
know what to do. My shirt is a crime scene. My clothes are crimes.
It's crimes. And the only thing that they got was my class ring because I didn't own anything because I was 18. Like I didn't own anything. Stupid.
Dumb.
But that apartment, I loved that apartment. But fast forward to COVID.
Oh.
And my friend Dan's wife bought something off of Facebook Marketplace. And it was in East Harlem, so she asked me to go along because he wasn't around. And I was like, yeah, I would like, that was my first neighborhood. I lived in that neighborhood for like 5 years. I was like, sure, I'll go.
Yeah.
So she told me to meet her at this like one particular place. And she gave me the address. And I was like, this address feels oddly familiar. And so I went there and I was like, oh, fuck, this is my old building. And she didn't give me an apartment number or anything. And so we go into this building. She's picking up a flat screen from this woman who got laid off from her job, so she was moving out of the city. And we get there and we get to the 3rd floor and she knocks on the door. I was like, I used to live in this apartment. And so I got to see it like 15 years later.
And then you robbed it.
It was wild. And you know what's really funny too is that like me as an adult human now, walking into this apartment, it was so much smaller than I remember it.
Wow.
I remember it being like this. I literally doubled in size. I remember it being this like spacious 1-bedroom apartment. And I walked in there and it was like, I can't move in the living room.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was wild.
It's okay.
It was so weird.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. But
oh my God.
And I now have lived in New York as long as I grew up in Pennsylvania.
I hit that
weird.
So my life isn't drink some water. My life has been a trio of times. It's been Maryland. Damn. There's been Maryland, Tennessee for about 6 months, so we don't count her, and Virginia, and then New York. And I've now been in New York longer than all those other places.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool when you feel that way, when you're just like, oh yeah, I found my home. Like I could leave any minute because the world's going to shit, but I love it here.
No, me too. Well, and the other thing too that really fucks me up, and I think I only made this realization last year, and I'm sure I've probably said this to you before.
Yeah.
But I am now much closer to the age that my parents were when I moved here than I am to the age that I was when I moved here.
Oh, God.
And it's like, oh no, my parents were 46 and 47.
Wow.
And I was 18. And now I am 36.
Listen.
That is 10 years away, bitch. Like,
oh, Jesus, take the wheel.
I don't like
I'm
any
10,
of that.
So I don't know what any of that is. But
yeah, so it's my 18-year anniversary.
It's like the Cleopatra thing. She's closer to us than the pyramids.
Right, I remember.
Yeah,
that's
because the pyramids are so fucking ancient
yeah.
that she's actually closer to us in timeline than
yeah, so that is my own personal Cleopatra moment.
That's your Cleopatra.
Oh, it's my Cleopatra. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, the 18-year anniversary feels very strange. Because it's
what
like,
do you want to do this weekend? I'm around.
I mean, it's, you know, what's really funny too is like with the job situation of it all, it's like this definitive end the day before.
Isn't that interesting?
So it does feel like a new beginning, a new chapter, a new start for like the life that I was meant to have. And I talk a lot about how like I don't have the life that I wanted. And so like the project is now to create it. And having this
how to be a rich bitch is to live
how
the
to
life
be
you
a
want.
rich bitch. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
That's why we're here.
And creating it. And so like with this definitive end on this anniversary, it's kind of like a restart.
Yes.
It feels like June 1st, 2005. Like, even though I'm not 180 pounds and 18 years old.
Thank God.
Well,
come on.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be 18 again.
No.
Well, I'm not even 180 pounds because that on me looks horrifying.
Yeah, no. So neither.
Like, even in cancer, the skinniest I got was 215 and I was 180 when I moved here. No. Like, she was a dead person.
Yeah, don't be bullheady.
No. But it definitely feels like a restart. It's very strange.
I think that's really cool though, because like I always think, I mean, I've restarted my life, you know, a number of times. And one, you know, my girl Madonna, she's been reinventing herself since literally she began. And I always feel like for the most part, when we reinvent ourselves and we lead with like love and not fear, and we're going after things that we love. We've talked about this on the podcast before. Leading with love and not fear, you're starting over. You're leaving something that wasn't serving you. And now you're going to be doing things that, you know, you're passionate about. And like, just like you were saying, as soon as you got out of certain orbits, you felt like there was a lot of things coming to you. I felt the same way when I restarted, you know, after I've been married before. When I got divorced, I felt like, all of a sudden my world was opening up and all these things were happening immediately. Like Dr. Seeds getting Amazon. It was all in the works, but it wasn't happening. Then all of a sudden my life was like opened up and I had this like energy out of my field and things I didn't have to worry about anymore and things that weren't like pulling me down or, you know, muddling the waters, you know, because again, what we say on this podcast all the time, how to be a rich bitch is to surround yourself with people and things and that make your life better while you do the same. And you have to lift yourself up with it as well. And it sounds like this is such a great opportunity to level up, and you are leveling up.
Yeah. Well, and again, like I was telling you earlier, like the second that like I started to wrap things up with work. I was getting emails for job interviews and referrals for other jobs, and like all this other stuff just came flying at me.
If you build it,
I will come.
Yeah, well, you know,
all over your face.
No, but same thing with the voiceover booth I built in this apartment. I built it. I was putting it off forever. I don't know why. I was just too busy. I mean, let's be real. And I was like, now I have time. Ugh, it's going to be, I mean, I'm going to put it together, but let's see what happens. Put it together. The next day I booked a voiceover.
Yeah. It's like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that kind of shit.
It's calling for it.
Yeah. And so you're just going to keep doing
I'm calling for it,
things.
bitch.
Calling for it. Call for her.
Call.
And on that note, I have 4 things I'm trying to pitch. And it's if I'm going to go out in September to LA and the writer's strike is still happening, solidarity, I'm not going to be pitching it then. So,
nope.
But let's
maybe
let's
just be like a great trip to LA.
Yeah, let's go. But like, I think the important thing is like you're surrounding yourself with creative stuff, and I'm always here for you.
No, I know, and that was what I was going to say. Like you and my friend Catherine and Sally Kate have been infinitely helpful in this. Like, kind of. Even just with not even on the creative side, like, yes, also that, but like the grounding of it and reminding me of who I am and what I have and what I'm doing. Because like without that, I'd still be like milling away trying to like make this shit work, and it's not going to. Like, and that's the other thing too, like making someone else rich. Like, why? Like, I don't want to do that. I want to make me rich.
Yeah.
Like,
so
hello, that's why I'm here.
Then you can help.
Right. Then I can help other people. Right. And that's the point. Mm-hmm. Like, I've never been a cog in a wheel as much as I've tried. You know, I tried to fit myself into corporate. I tried to fit myself. And like, that's why I'm so aggressively pursuing the creative corporate end of it. Yeah. Because if I can have both, which I can, 100%. then perfect. Because I love the regularity and structure of corporate, but I also need and have to have a creative outlet. 100%. And if that is for my benefit, for the benefit of others, for the benefit of the people I'm working for, like, great, wonderful, then we're all happy. You know, it's like, it's just so wild how, and I was talking to like the recruiter at Warner Brothers about this today, because that was another component of today that was wild, like having a job interview with Warner Brothers. Who knew? But it was like this idea that as artists, we think that our survival job has to be the opposite of what we're doing.
Not at all.
And that's the brain space I was in, because my background has been admin and finance. And so, like, getting out of that and being a full-time actor, anytime I wasn't being an actor, I thought, I have to have a desk job, because I refused to wait tables for the longest time. Like, when I first moved here
in 9-10 years, I don't even think
same. But when I moved here, I did not want to be a waiter, because I wanted to be special. I wanted to be something else, because I was an 18-year-old brat, and I was like, I'm not going to wait tables. I'm not going to be a bartender. Yeah. I'm going to be different, and I'm going to get a job.
Bartending was really lucrative.
I know, and if I would have done it earlier,
but then I did it for 2.5 years, and then was
right. Well, and I think about that too. If I would have done it earlier, would I have made more money? Sure, but then would I also be one of these people that's trapped and cannot and won't leave?
I saw that's what got me out of it. Truly, was looking around and being like, okay, so some of these people have been doing this for like 15 years, and I feel like all the dreams that they had are just like muddled now.
I've talked about this before too. Like, it's palpable. You can see it on their face. All of their dreams that never happened are all over their face.
It reminds me of Piano Man. Do you know that song by oh my God, I'm an idiot.
Billy Joel.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, I swear that I could be a movie. As a smile ran away from his face, I swear that I could be a movie star if I could get out of this place.
But then it's like, then just get out of the place.
Yeah, but that haunts me because people create, again, well, we all do it. People create, like,
of course they do,
traps for themselves, no matter how successful.
Hello, the last year of my life.
I know. And my point is that we have to remember that life is not a linear thing. It's messy. And sometimes we look back and we're like, oh shit, that was me trapping myself in like another situation.
Well, and to the Piano Man point too, it's like, I'm sure I could be a movie star if I could get out of this place. Well, then ask yourself, what is the thing that's stopping you from...
why are you in that place?
So it's like, if I could X, then I could X. Well, then figure out what that is and go fucking do it.
Yeah, like, I think anyone listening to this can literally do anything they're saying.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. Because regardless, if you make money off of it immediately, if you don't, you can still do it. Still create, put it out there.
Yeah.
Anything, literally anything you want to do.
Well, you know, and for the most part, like, creating media, like, you're not going to make a whole lot of money unless, like, circumstances be what they are. And to me, it's like, to me, all of that is a long game. right? Like you create these little pieces that eventually, you know, you don't open a puzzle and it's complete. Like you have these tiny little pieces that you need to put together to make the bigger picture. And so every piece of media that you create is a tiny little piece of that puzzle. And maybe some pieces are bigger than others. Yes. And that's great and wonderful, but it's still all part of a bigger picture.
No, I think I agree entirely. And I think, you know, for example, the pitch deck thing. Is that my favorite thing I do of all time? Not really, but I'm very good at it. And the only reason that kept going is because, like, I just kept doing them and people heard about it. And I've only been doing them since, I mean, I did them for myself, but publicly been doing them since 2020. And it's only 3 years later. And I've done talks on it now on a national global level. And I'm making them for huge things. And all that is just because I put it out there. It has nothing to do with anything but that. And so what I'm saying is, like, even if it's not the main thing, doing something creative that's cool can turn into something so uncharacteristically lucrative. It's like, what are you good at? Use that. Like we were talking about the other day, and we don't have to say everything, but my point is, like, we were talking about after, and we'll go into the Inwood Festival if you'd like. Mm-hmm. You know, being around creatives and being in like an environment like that, and then walking away. We took a walk from the festival back home because we're both Inwood boo-boos, and you know, it was like walking back and talking about how you were like thinking about your book and what to do with it. And we just by walking and talking realized that you're so good at making music videos. You're so good at things. Duh. Why is that not what you're, you know what I mean?
Well, and it's always the thing that is making you special is the thing that's right in front of your fucking face. Like that book has been in front of my face literally for years.
Yeah, it's your story.
And it took the circumstances, the work circumstances that I just left to realize that, you know, and I will forever be grateful to that container for showing me that and giving me access to the people that made that book possible.
Truly.
But and then like giving me kind of like the mental permission with that to really run with it and to really like go gangbusters on the podcasting circuit and to really go, you know, ask for the things like the drama bookshop. I asked for that. I wanted it and I got it.
It's incredible.
You know, and like there's so many things that I want and I have been so afraid to ask for them.
But you're taking them now.
But I'm taking them now.
And I noticed that because like there's things like like we were, for instance, I produced this diner pilot and they were in Times Square and you immediately were like, how do I get into Times Square? And now you're going to be in Times Square.
Now I'm going to be in Times Square.
Did it.
3 weeks.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you maybe a while back would be like, interesting, I wish I could do that. And then that would be the end of the conversation. Yeah. But you just did it.
Right, because I've gotten in the habit of being like, okay, how can I?
Yep, and then
I want that, how can I?
And you asked me for information. I was like, here's all the thing I know. I don't know. Here's all the information I know.
And here we are.
But that's my point. Is that's the difference, right? That's the difference in like anything is like you won't get it unless you try. And you also like don't need permission from anyone but yourself.
Exactly.
And until you realize that, you're going to be blocking yourself.
Well, and a lot of that comes from like, you know, being an actor and solely being an actor. And until I started creating things for myself or creating things because I wanted to, all your job as an actor is to wait around and wait for permission. And so
that's what they tell you.
That's not
what your job is.
I agree, but it feels that way.
Yeah.
And so you kind of buy into that narrative that like, oh, I'm just waiting for someone to give me my big break.
Yeah. I've never been waiting.
No,
that's the thing.
Build your own fucking break.
Build your own shit.
Like
I can't do it. Like I think I waited when I'm in my early 20s and I was waiting and I was like, wait. Who is any different? What is the difference? Why do I need to be waiting around? Like, there's no reason to not create my own stuff. There's no reason to like also while I'm waiting, quote unquote, taking as many classes as I can, or creating stuff with friends, or writing anything, or filming anything, drawing anything, taking myself on an artist date, like you know, just things like.
Oh my god, self dates.
Bro.
The best.
The fucking best.
I love a self-date. Self-date and self-vacations. I just met someone who was taking themselves to the Amalfi Coast for no reason because they felt like it. And I was like, oh, God bless.
I think that's a gorgeous thing.
I do too.
left your place the other day and I walked through the park. I took like 3 times longer than I normally do to get through it because I was by myself and I was just like enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because it was just like.
Because you can.
Because I can. And I should.
And that's also part of
a day changer.
Well, and that's also part of like this whole transitional period for myself too, is like I know what it's like to work in a free capacity where I can just like stop what I'm doing, get up and go for a walk.
Yeah.
to a degree. But like what I really would love is to like, yes, make a ton of money, but how can I work for myself full time so that I'm not like adhering. And so like I see people like you and my friend Catherine who work for the most part solely for themselves unless they don't want to and they opt in to take an opportunity otherwise. Like, fuck, that's what I want to do.
And even then, I typically is in a leadership position, so I don't feel stifled, right?
Right.
And that's the thing too, is like setting your parameters. Like even me saying this, there's been times where I've been booked onto something and it wasn't the thing I thought, and then I've had to talk to someone and be like, look, this is not,
like, I'm out of here.
This is not actually,
yeah. Well, and that literally that happened to me today. One of the job interviews I got was for a lower level position, but they mentioned that there was a higher level position available, and I was like, yes, I would do this in the short term, but I have a strong preference for the managerial position.
Yeah.
And they got back to me, and that's what I have a job interview for.
And that's what you should say. And that's what everyone should say.
I agree.
You do the right thing.
I'm like, because the thing is also, 18 years in New York, 36 years old. I'm not entry level anymore, bitch.
No one's entry.
We're not doing, no entry. She's a top.
No, seriously though. Like, yeah, truly top. Because like, honestly, it gets to the point where it's like, I think too, it's like, I hate to say this all the time because it's like, I don't like to use this as a card, but being a woman, it's like, there's just like this whole set of parameters. You're being someone who's queer or being someone who's not like a straight white dude. There's a lot of like things that like, they just assume we're cool with, or we're going to just like do. And like, I've never been that bitch. And that's gotten me, I'm sure, opportunities, and it's gotten me not to work with other people. And guess what? I'm so glad I don't work with those people.
Right. Well, that is also, oh my God, this is also such a thing. Like, there was a period of time up into a point where I would just be down for whatever. And like that led to a lot of being taken advantage of, having things taken away from me, like being used, being lied to, etc. And like, with the exception of my most recent work situation, in the last couple of years, I've gotten very good at drawing lines and saying, I will not do that. I will do that, but these are the circumstances under which it needs to happen. And, especially now, like that's the name of the game. It's just saying what you want and asking for it. And, like it also, I encourage people to do this all the time, because the more that you don't do that, the more it perpetuates itself. And then you get taken advantage of more and more and more. And then that gives permission to the people who are doing it, to the next group of people. So like putting your foot down and saying abso-fucking-lutely not is the best thing you can do for everybody.
Right. No, and to be clear, like, yes, women and, queer people and people of color and stuff have a special set of things that are already against us. But this happens to everyone. This happens to every single person on the planet.
Well, and I don't think that this is like demographic specific. No. This is just like in general.
I'm saying like we all have that on top of all that other thing. And it's like it's just like taking anything. It's like take anything that you've got. Someone will feel some sort of way about whatever you are. And that's part of it too. But everybody's out to take advantage. And that's the thing you just cannot allow. You just can't allow it. It's not fair.
Get a good lawyer.
And get a good lawyer. Pro bono. Your lawyer's great.
Love him.
I had my partner called your lawyer once about something, but everything's cool, so I'm not going to get into it. But it's all good. But
I just referred him to someone else today.
Great, good.
I love him.
He seems like a smart cookie. I like him.
He's the best. Yeah. I mean, look, he and I joke around a lot about how I should have been a lawyer.
Oh, really?
And we were talking about like the whole Kim Kardashian of it all, how she was able to like sit within a law firm for a certain period of time and get credit for it. And unfortunately, New York doesn't allow that. But if it had, that was something that I was considering over the pandemic, and he and I talked about it.
Shout out to my best friend Maddie, who just called me today. She's in Baltimore studying Baltimore law. She went back in her 30s to get her to become a lawyer, and she's absolutely crushing it. A's,
I love
everything.
that.
The whole time she's like, I'm not going to get it. I'm just, it's not going to, I'm going to be struggling. I'm like, you are absolutely crushing it. And she just got selected to be on a case that's huge about global warming. It's a massive case. And I'm really proud of her. And it's like, it's literally legally blonde. She's on that big case. She's got picked
oh my God, I love
to be on the big case. You know what I mean? Like
the ammonium thioglycolide. Yeah, but I mean, it's
bitch. Yeah.
It's definitely, it was definitely like a good laugh that I had about it.
My cat cleans really shit.
Chloe's agreeing.
Yeah, she's like,
but yeah, I mean, like I would probably have been a great lawyer, and because he's contract and employment specific, like I'm very passionate about that.
You would have been a great lawyer, but would you have been fulfilled?
No.
So that's why you're not a lawyer. But you put him in a great one. That's okay.
Yeah. And there's still time. I'm only 36.
You could literally be a lawyer / everything.
Everything. Could you imagine? Marketing, PR, law, branding, social media consultant.
I need you. Well, Maddie's going to be one of my reps too. My best friend is also going to be a rep. She's like, she's going to have like that freaking degree very soon. But okay. So the Inwood Film Festival. So we
backtracking now.
Yeah. We're almost at 50 minutes, so we're gonna close it up with this one. It's
Love it. Let's do
amazing. It's so good to be back. It's so good to be back.
It's so good to see your
Literally,
face.
we've hung out so much, but we haven't done this.
But we haven't done this. It's fine.
So we're glad to do this.
Yes.
We got our ducks in a row. So we went to the Inwood Film Festival. I had 2 tickets to the opening night gala. I just really think it's good to support, like, especially your like local anything, but especially the local arts scene. And Inwood, Inwood, Washington Heights, Uptown, Manhattan has always been my like neighborhood now for over a decade, like I think 12 years now. And this festival's really, really popped off. And Aaron's been kind of the head of it since the beginning. And I've been on his podcast. Inwood Artworks is like it was
so fun.
Yeah, but I mean, he's done so much, meaning like he's given my boyfriend's a director and producer and writer, but mainly director producer, and he got a grant money to make a short film, and he's filming next month.
Amazing.
And from Inwood Artworks, and I've been on there talking about my experience for the podcast, and then also at the film festival, I did a talk about SAG-AFTRA contracts and lower budget contracts, and they're not scary.
And everything that's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep. Yeah. But really, the lower budget contracts are not super affected by a lot of this. It's just, but it's really cool to talk to like creatives who have been tentative to make something union when they realize it actually doesn't cost them anything, but they get union talent. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of helping demystify the process. Because just like you, when I was making Dr. Seeds and everyone was like, "You're gonna make it SAG? That's so scary." I'm like, "It's really not. I'm just gonna ask every question. I'm just gonna ask all the questions, and I won't fuck it up because I'll keep asking questions and say, am I going to fuck this up? Hey, rep, am I fucking this up? So shout out to Kamal Talbot. I love him. That was my rep for Dr. Seeds for my original web series. I've had many reps since, but for any project that I've made under the contracts. But I've really found, and I said this in my talk, I've really found that the more questions I asked before the thing, the better it went. And there was no fuck ups. Everything went fine. It's really not that hard, especially with a micro budget agreement, which I did for you, I think, in 10 minutes. It's literally an online form.
Yeah.
The micro budget is anything 20 grand or less, and that's not for the whole project. So let's just say you're doing a web series and each episode is 20 grand, you're good. But if it's like a film, it has to be less than 20 grand. It's micro. Then you're going up from there to like SPA, the sort project agreement, to like the new media agreements and stuff like that. But they're all really like, even if they're confusing, if you just go on SAG-AFTRA's website and you become a SAG signatory producer, meaning you just have a project. That's it. You don't have to be a SAG-AFTRA member. You just have to have a project. Send in the script, say what it's about, like what you're trying to do with it, and they'll match you with the right contract that you're supposed to do. That's literally part of the job. It's not like you have to know exactly which one. And people think that. They're like, oh, you just have to know? I'm like, no, that's why they have staff.
That's literally why they're there.
It's why they're there.
Yeah.
And then you get your contract, and then you have someone holding your hand throughout the whole process. Now, I know there's been some, of course, bad experiences, I'm sure, with like staff being, decimated during COVID. That didn't help, but I've only had really great experiences because I've taken the time not to wait around and be like, am I doing this right? Is calling them on the phone and speaking to them, emailing them. And if I don't get an email back in a day or two, I call and then we get an information and everyone's okay.
I think that also ties into how a lot of people in the arts are afraid to ask questions or afraid to like appear like they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
It's like this performative, like professionalism where it's like, how dare you ask a question? Like, shouldn't you know this already?
It's like, who
especially
knew
people, right? Well, but especially people, I think, who have like those big fancy degrees from like the big fancy schools, and certainly I have this issue too, and I didn't even go to school, so it's not specific to that. But
it's human nature,
right? It's just like this fear of like looking dumb or looking like you don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's why I asked. Read me to filth. Go ahead. That's okay.
Filth. For Dr. Seeds original, before the Amazon one, you guys, I had the web series version. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. And honestly, I asked every question. I had a list. I was literally like doing my makeup, getting ready to go out, but I'd pause and be like, listen, come on, let's talk. Okay. I have 9 questions. I'm writing down your answers. Like, so I have to do, you want my preliminary, just a cast list. Okay. You also want to know what my budget might be, like a rough budget. Great. You also want, now what else am I missing? What I want to make sure you have everything, and it's in email. I can see it, but I wanted to make sure. And like, it's really easy to do it right when you just ask questions.
Yeah.
I asked all the questions.
You have to ask questions.
I'm on the board. I asked all the questions, guys.
Because then the other thing is, too, when you don't ask the questions, you get into a jam and then you get
That's what
fucked.
I'm saying. That's why I haven't gotten in those positions where like, well, one time I was doing something and then I did the SAG contract, but I didn't know about this one thing and I fucked everything up and then this and that and people were upset. I'm like, right, but
and
did you ask
we had
about
to halt production because whoa.
Yeah, and it's like, first off, no one's going to halt a production unless there's severe problems, meaning like unsafe environment, massive like problems. It's very rare that you're going to get that email that's like, don't work on this thing. It's not going to be yours, guys, unless you literally are like using real guns and crazy stunts and explosives, and also you're not paying your actors at all. And it's been like, you know what I mean? Like there's really big things you can really fuck it up. But you know, the great way not to fuck it up is just ask all the questions. Nobody's perfect.
No.
That's the thing. And like, I think SAG-AFTRA's slogan, and I said this too, is like, easy to work with, harder to fight. Like, work with us. Us meaning like, I'm not on staff. I'm an actor, just like anyone listening to this that wants to become an actor, like for SAG-AFTRA or isn't a member of the guild. But when I say work with us, I mean just like, it's just easier to work with them if you ask all the right questions. But if you want to fight them on some shit, yeah, that's a problem. Like
it's going to be a lot harder.
With the strike and everything coming our way and things possibly looming. But that's the power of a union. It needs to be hard to fight. But God, it has to be easy to work with too. And it can't be easier if you don't ask questions.
I can think of a union that is not easy to work with or fight.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so we were going to talk about the whale.
So I had 2 tickets to the gala. My boyfriend couldn't go, and I was like, I know who I want to bring. I mean,
it's
hands
me.
down.
Hi.
He's the person. It's him. And I was like, I would love to go. And the opening night gala included some food, some bev, a little step and repeat. I did some interview for Bronx Net. I don't know if it made it. We'll find out. But then it was a screening of The Whale. And I had not seen it. I'd purposely held off because I knew I had tickets to this thing like months ago.
I never saw it.
Yeah, and it was very intense. It was definitely moving, and it was really cool to have the playwright there.
Yes, meeting him was really interesting, and hearing him talk about it was really interesting.
Yeah, he's from our neighborhood.
Yeah,
and his story and how Darren Aronofsky even got to it.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because, of course, like after we saw that, I like looked up some of the discourse online about it because there was a lot of conversation about it.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I agree with some of it.
Sure.
Because like the whole idea was like how the movie is so fat phobic and how could a normal sized man write and direct and tell that story? You know, like Brendan Fraser, not that big of a person.
Yeah.
You know, like Sam, not that big of a person. Darren Aronofsky, not that big of a person. So like them telling this story about like someone who's morbidly obese with a lot of health problems, et cetera,
yeah.
You know, there was like this kind of like puritanical in a way need for someone who is that size to not only write the story, but then play the part.
Okay.
And I just think that that's a hindrance at all times. Yes. When you're asking for that much alignment. Not that it shouldn't happen. And yes, people who are obese get less chances to do things. And that was one of the points that they made at the talkback.
Yeah,
when he was saying how like people of that size write to him all the time and say, thank you for writing this because I'm a bigger person.
Yeah.
And now I get to play a lead role that's like meaty and juicy and whatnot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I just think that it's such a hard conversation to have because I don't want someone to feel marginalized by saying, I think that they're wrong by asking for the director, writer, actor to be morbidly obese in writing this particular role.
Right.
Because then you run into like real actual health problems on set.
Truly.
And then that becomes a liability. And just from a business standpoint, that's like not great. And that's not to say that everyone.
Acting, everyone.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I think whenever possible, we want to be as authentic to the voices that we're trying to show and experiences we're trying to display. But there's like, it's becoming a little bit more virtue signaling that this has to be exactly like this person has to be that person in real life. Well, then why are we acting? What is acting? I mean, I understand that I don't want to play. Obviously, I'm not going to play a person of color that's insane. Right. Obviously, that's wrong and stupid and all that shit.
And I understand it, you know.
Me too. I understand that.
And I support giving opportunities to people who don't have the opportunities or 100%. Who have less opportunities to do it.
Right.
I also think that sometimes we need to recognize the position of privilege that some people have to be able to create that avenue for others. So, like, yes, Darren Aronofsky and Sam Hunter and Brendan Fraser are, like, cisgendered, like, normal-sized white guys who have the most privilege in the entertainment world. And so therefore writing a role like that and producing a movie like that and playing a part like that and winning only opens doors for other people who are living that story to tell, because they've now proven it works.
Right.
And they've now proven that that's something that people want to see.
Right.
Now, the narrative of the character of Charlie was another point of contention with people because they were saying how this is so fat phobic. But, like, if you're going by medical jurisdiction only, then, like, that's kind of a reality. It's not going to be the same for everyone. No. And I think the story isn't that he was a large person, that he was obese. The story is that his heart was broken, and this is what happened.
And this was what killed.
This is what did him. This is what he did to himself. Yes,
shit.
And
which
it's
we
about
do in all different ways. We've
exactly.
seen many movies where people. So, like, let's just say there's a movie, like, there's many movies where, like, someone's like on a bender, like drug bender, ruins their life with meth. Should I actually be on meth to play a meth head?
We're not method. We're not method for the meth.
Yeah, are we? Meth that.
But that was the point that I was making to Sam when we talked to him.
Yeah.
About the scene where he's in the wheelchair, like taking the pizza and putting ham on it and ranch dressing and cheese, and like just stuffing his face to the point where he throws up.
It was horrific.
Like, I've never done specifically that, but I have felt that way, and I have done similar things to that were very, like, raging self-sabotagey, and it was so well done that even though I am not a 600-700 pound man, I can still look at that and be like, I know exactly how you feel right now.
Yeah.
And
because it's coming from a real place. The message is coming from a real place.
Yes. And so, like, does this get a little in the weeds and sticky when we're talking about, like, cultural and racial and gender identity kind of narratives?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yes, because there are specific things that those people experience,
of course,
that a, like, cisgendered white man could never really write, at least from a place of authenticity.
Truly.
And if they were to do so in telling the story of someone they knew who might not be interested in being attached or is no longer around, then I would like to think that that person would hire a dramaturg who has that life experience to talk them through the specificities of how to make the role more authentic to what's going on.
And cast someone who can play that, who is that,
right.
you know. But again, it's like, it's just, some of it's getting really in the weeds.
Yeah. And don't cancel us.
We're not. You can't, because I didn't really say anything. That's the fucked up part. So I really am not going to say it. Other than all I can say is I agree with most of it, but sometimes we're getting a little bit in the weeds about shit.
Yeah,
I really do think so. I think because we have to make changes, and we had to. The pendulum had to shift because we were doing
necessary.
Some fuckery,
some
racist shit, some fucking the way we treated Native Americans on film, just everything. I mean, it's abysmal for years.
Yeah,
since the advent of cinema.
What was it like? Scarlett Johansson being cast as like an Asian woman thing.
I know I can't.
It's some fuckery, you know, like
fuckery.
And
we're still doing that, and that's why people are still having these discussions, because there is still a problem.
And these discussions should continue to happen.
Agree. Always.
I also think that with the pendulum swinging situation, I think that it needs to swing farther even from where we are now, because the course correction on that when it swings back needs to not be anywhere near where we were before.
We know.
And again, like, the more opportunities we give to more diverse groups of people, whatever that means, whomever that may be, is only going to strengthen the industry. From stem to stern. Like, get some other people who are not as largely represented in producing roles, in directing roles, in writing roles. I mean, we know that that's already happening, but it's like the producer thing, I think, is the one that is lacking.
And director.
And directors.
I mean, if you look at the director stats, I think in the DGA, I don't know what percentage are women, but it's really low. And I think 4% of their membership that is actually working are women.
Yeah. So
it's abysmal.
It still needs
bad.
It still needs course correction. And I think by having these very charged conversations about why it should not happen in the way that it is happening is only holding back that change. It's only holding those percentages down because you're scaring producers who don't want to take risks anyway.
Yeah, because they're scared if they do anything wrong, they're going to be completely
right. And so, I mean, I, of course, as a cis white guy, like gay or otherwise, you know, of course it's easy for me to say that. But, you know, like I can see where from a business standpoint, if there was that much discourse about the whale, how and why producers would be hesitant to invest and put money towards a similar project because they don't want to be dragged and raked across the coals.
Yeah.
So,
but yet Jared Leto's fine. So weird.
So weird.
So weird. So many red flags. But okay. Yeah. You know, I
essentially what I'm trying to say is that let's just let everyone do what they want.
Yeah.
Like let's everyone has a chance, everyone do the things. Yeah. And if you have a problem with the way that something is made, then go make something of your own where you don't have a problem with it. And I'm not saying that from a place of being like, well, if you hate it, go make something. Like I'm saying it because like, please do it because we need you to.
We need you. Also like, you know, instead of drowning the people who gave it a shot and maybe tried it, especially like when they did it with nuance or really tried from a genuine place. Like for instance, I don't think The Whale is a problematic movie in my opinion. But I think no matter who's seen it or watched it, you know it's coming from a genuine place when you watch it. There are movies that aren't that are very problematic, and I think those are the ones where you can say a little bit more vitriol, I'm sure. But this isn't it. This is the one where you go, okay, cool. This has been done now. Now that they've actually allowed, you know, the main character to be someone who isn't the statuesque, you know, picture of health. And it's about weight. But it's about the weight of loss. It's about the weight on your body. It's about the weight of guilt. It's about the weight. It's all about, it's an analogy as well. It's a beautiful metaphor for sure. That's like literally the point. So I think like there's just so much more to this than to just say like, oh, they didn't pick a fatter guy. Yeah. They also picked the guy that did the best job.
God damn it.
He carried that fucking movie.
Oh my God.
Many scenes.
Most of them. Literally all of them.
Because like, okay.
Yeah.
I will say about The Whale, to finish up, we're now at an hour and 6. We're pretty good, honestly. I love us. Is that he not only crushed the movie, but I was so sad that no one in his life was like, yeah, fuck you, I'm calling 911.
Yeah.
Because I would have done that. That's what I would have done.
Same.
If that happened to you or you happened to me or something's going on and I'm definitely saying, no, don't, no, I need, don't know.
Well, this is like a callback to what we were talking about earlier with plastic surgery stuff. Yeah. Like
that's what I was trying to come. That's exactly it. That's what I was trying to do. You
having people in your life that are like, no, this is like, I'm worried about you and I'm going to do something about it.
I can't tell you like, quote unquote, stop you, quote unquote, but like, don't. Because this is why, and I care about you, and please don't do this.
Right, like his friend, the nurse, as she also gave a fantastic performance. Phenomenal. But at some point, way before it got to the point that it was
she was having heart failure, and she's still. Sorry, guys. Spoilers for The Whale.
Yeah, spoiler. But regardless of that, I'm talking years prior.
Yes. As he was getting to this point.
As he was starting to get to that, like, this isn't good. Get him some help.
Because you love him.
Talk to him about it. Maybe don't sweep it under the rug. And maybe, to a degree, that is, to be fair, under the fat phobia conversation, because you don't ever want to go up to your friend and be like, hey, Truly. You know, like, I think, like, my weight goes up and down like crazy. And no one has ever once been like, hey, worried about you. You look like a fat ass. Are you okay? Are you good?
I feel like I've never asked you that because you've never fluctuated super hard with me, or it's just not noticeable. But drinking, yes, I've talked to you.
Yes.
We can take this out if you want.
Right. But you know what I mean? Like having someone in your life that's like, hey, I'm worried about you.
You need that though, because if you don't have that, or like even Sarah, you need to slow down. You've told me that before. You know, or like people in my life being like, oh my God, like
are you okay?
Are you
just checking in? Are you all right?
Are you good? Because like you randomly got strep. Why the fuck? And you're not 8. Why did you get it? Because you were going insane and going 10 miles an hour and not stopping.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's good to have those people in your life. You need people to tell you the real shit.
Yeah, and like more specifically to The Whale too, I think that also illustrates the sadness, loneliness, and the weight, literal and figurative weight that he carries, is that he doesn't see people outside of the two people that, like, well, I guess the nurse, until we meet him and the other people start to come in. But like, he doesn't see anyone. He doesn't even see the delivery guy. Sad. He won't see the delivery guy. And so it's also this, like the metaphor of weight in this is so impeccably done.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it. Maybe people who have an issue with it don't understand the metaphor, or they don't identify with the metaphor.
Well, they're looking at the
enough.
surface value. They're looking at and here's what's upsetting me about right now, and things that happen sometimes. People see something and they go, "I'm looking for an issue. There it is. This is it." And like, did you watch the film? No. Cool.
Right.
Love that.
I had a recent conversation about that because I brought this up, and I was like, "Oh, I went with Sarah to go to the Inwood Film Festival, and we saw The Whale." And the person I was talking to was like, "Oh, I'm never going to watch that. It's fat phobic." And I was like, I mean, it's kind of not. There's more to it than that.
The only movie I've ever seen with someone of that size, and it's not making fun of them. It's sad, but it's talking about them like they're human beings. They're being treated as people. They're
because if you look at other performances within the history of film and television, who are arguably that size, like you have Fat Albert, who is just a joke. You have the big fat dude in Austin Powers,
Nutty Professor and shit.
Yeah, and like all of them are just the butt of the joke.
They are.
And this was like a not butt of the joke.
This
like,
was sad, and
it was a human
study.
story, and the metaphor abound.
And who do we care about most when we watch it?
Him.
So that's what I mean when I say when you watch a movie and the person you care about the most is the person you think they're portraying badly or whatever. Why is it that we all care about him the most? Because he was written like a human being.
Right. And that is a testament to the writing and to the performance. And so can we like take a step back and be like, wait, maybe actually this is okay.
Yeah. Or maybe it's really not your call and don't watch it then, I guess. But like if you have a huge like opinion about it, maybe watch it or a scene or like any of it.
But you know what I always say? Those who speak the loudest against something are just looking at themselves in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there goes to, that's why I can't really speak on things that it's hard for me to say truly something is like damning something unless it's blatantly terrible.
Yeah.
Right? Because especially in the world of art, which is what we're talking about, movies are art, guys. If it's supposed to be the moral high ground, it's supposed to be the thing that tells you like what's right or what's wrong. Really, art's meant to be ingested and to watch. So if you have an opinion about it, I suggest you watch it and then have an opinion.
Well, and I'm happy for an opinion. What I'm not happy for that I think has gotten a little bit more rampant with social media being what it is tearing it down.
Judging immediately.
Because there's a difference between an opinion and judgment.
Truly.
An opinion is founded within like intelligent, nuanced conversation.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully. But if you're just saying like, oh, well, I don't like it because it's fat phobic, but you also haven't watched it, then like your quote unquote opinion is invalid.
Right.
You have nothing to base it on.
I find that to be, I find that to be a red flag because it's like you assume a movie with a larger person is fat phobic immediately. Weird. Why do you think that? What bias is that?
I'm going to say that it's probably because there was a lot of discourse around it when it was coming up through the ranks.
Right, but I feel like that's a lot of what happens is it gets muddled in the ethosphere.
Yeah, it does.
And it sucks because this movie was made so someone of that size could be featured, or not that size, but a larger person. And it was made so that person was the lead, and how that can be so isolating. And he's a nuanced, beautiful human being. I love the scene where he talks about to the born-again Christian boo-boo kitty that he's like, we'd made love. Like, we loved each other. He thought I was beautiful. Like, there were moments there that were just
heartbreaking.
So heartbreakingly gorgeous. And, I just feel like I don't know how you can watch that and be like, it's just like, okay, sure, man. It just seems like we're always trying to find something bad instead of like making more good stuff.
That's why I don't air opinions on anything on any social media platform. I won't do it. Yeah. Because it really does go back to, well, if I have an issue with the way that it's done, then I'll just go write something.
Yeah, let's do something about it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that puts the onus on every person that feels like they're not being represented or whatever. And
but also like, look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah, take it as an opportunity.
Like, don't look at it as onus. Look at it as an opportunity to like, okay, I didn't like the way that this was represented here. Cool. I have a computer and a keyboard and I know words. And so let's go write something that is more aligned with how you feel. Mm-hmm. The way that representation happens is by like advocating for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And once we start doing that en masse, then the representation starts to make itself better known.
Right. And if you can't just like you can't push the buttons either. Like John Waters and like these pioneers of filmmaking who were just pushing buttons, being disgusting, pushing buttons to shift the pendulum.
Yeah.
We need people to go on limbs and make stuff. We need people to be real and raw and make stuff. Because if we keep telling people that are real and raw and make stuff like The Whale to like, shut up, this is fat phobic. Okay, let's go watch Fast and Furious 12 now. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think's going to happen if we don't allow anything ever to be made ever?
Right.
That may not be perfect enough.
And we're gonna have Jurassic Park 45, like Land Before Time 45.
Literally, it's like all we have left are like in theaters. It feels like, and it's getting better because I think like certain other IPs are sneaking in, or people miss the movies a little bit, so we're going to see shit like that. Horror's made a huge comeback and in really creative ways, and I admire that. It has that independent pioneering spirit, but they got the budget. Even sometimes they don't have the budget, and yet it looks good. Like Blumhouse shit, they're trying. So I think, I think if we just keep putting down movies that are trying to say something actually, and blanket statementing them, we are eliminating possibilities of growth. Instead, we're gonna have, and I'm not dissing it, but all we're gonna have is Marvel movies and Fast and Furious 12, and that's fine.
And I don't want that.
But I don't want just that. No. Right? Because I like Marvel movies, and I've seen a couple Fast Furious, and all right, I love Michelle Rodriguez. So my point is like, what are we doing here? So I just
what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? I'm sure there's something in Dr. Seeds that's gonna, if people watch it, I'm sure there's something about it. It's gonna be in it that I wrote in 2016. I'm sure there's gonna be something that someone doesn't like, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. But
exactly, because
let people grow.
Because the other thing of it is too, when you're writing something from a place of authentically wanting to tell a story about a person or a thing, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about it. Like, of course, we all want people to like it, but it's coming from a place of like, I'm creating this for me.
Yeah, facts.
And so it doesn't matter if you don't like it.
And the creator, the writer, he was saying at the Inwood Film Festival that this could have been him. So we don't know his story. We don't know how big he might have got. We don't know if this was his thing.
And when he said that too, I mean, I talk a lot about what would have happened to me had I not left Pennsylvania. And there's part of me that saw that film and was like, whew, there it is.
There it is. Exactly. No, I'm sure you had a lot of feelings about that.
I had so many feelings.
There's so many things.
So many not good feelings about myself because of that movie. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean in the sense that like, I think that that's me. But again, had I not left Pennsylvania, it could have been.
It's a very stark looking glass into something that could have been.
And again, I have the presence of mind to be able to say that. But I think a lot of the people who are upset about it maybe don't.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like I am the most present of mind human. I'm just saying like my identity to that movie is very much like.
That's true. You have honestly, you have more of a right to really talk about this than I do. Facts. I mean, we all have a right to talk about it, but you have more of a right to like speak on how this was portrayed and what it was. And I think you're right in that. Like, anyone can have an opinion, anyone can feel that way, and it can trigger things in you, which it did. And me too, man. There were parts where I was just like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
So just
I will never
just acting out when you're upset. Like, I've always been really good at not doing that. But I've seen a lot of that in my life, and I've had to cut myself away from someone like that. And I've had to,
I remember very distinct and specific nights when I was at Prohibition in the Upper West Side with Brooke. And she would bartend. I'd get cocktails for free for hours.
Yeah. And
I just remember there'd be nights where I'd be having an upset day or an off week or some shit was going down. And she'd hand me a cocktail and I'd down it in like 2-3 sips and be like, great, let me have another one. And I have another very distinct memory of when I was 19 and living on the east side. I walked all the way across Central Park to go to this bar called Sweet, still there, 109 Amsterdam. And I ordered an absolute Mandarin martini. I think I had 2 of them. I fell asleep at the bar because I was, 19 and had no food to eat at all, but I had money for alcohol.
You had Mandarin, yeah.
But you're right.
you had your citrus though.
Right. And I kind of like woke up and I ordered another one and the bartender was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. Ordered another one, downed it in one drink, in one sip, whole martini, and left. And walked home. Cause like that's what I mean by when I say I have seen that like raging against yourself sabotage moment because I have been doing it my whole life. And so seeing it on the screen was like, oh shit. Brutal. And like truly, and I mean this very literally, like I have a much better handle on that visual for myself now that I've seen that. And I can clock when I'm doing it.
That's really cool because that's what art is for.
Yeah.
Like, and watching that just reinforced me. Okay, Sarah, you have been that annoying bitch for your friends. We've been like, please, guys, don't. Or like, look, you're kind of getting a little. Maybe it's time you stop.
Yeah.
Or even just like, what are you doing? You know, I had a discussion with a friend last year, and you know, we're in our 30s, and things aren't really as cute as they used to be. You know what I mean? You can't be doing, you know. And it was a really awkward conversation. And later, I thought it was going to end our friendship, but I really just cared enough to say something, and it didn't end my friendship. And it took like a couple weeks, but that person came around and was like, "Thank you so much. Like, you're exactly right. You made me feel it. Just I needed someone to say something." And this movie, he really needs somebody to say something, and no one said.
Yeah. And I think that's such a weird commentary on friendship too, because like the only person who was there for him wasn't actually acting as a friend.
No, he was judging.
Yeah, it was coming more so from a place of judgment.
And I kind of wish, and that was my only thing that I didn't really love. And I think it's only because like it makes me sad. So it's really not a commentary on the piece itself, but more on like humanity.
Yeah.
It was just such a bummer to me that no one that actually loved and cared about him was helping him. They were just allowing him to die.
Yeah.
If they would have just called 911, especially finding out that he had money, I would have been like on the phone. Yeah. I would have been on the phone before I knew he had money, and I would have figured it out. I would have gone to GoFundMe or something for this guy, or paid for it, or done something. Because like, it's either he's dead. Because what's the point? Money or being dead? You should be alive.
Well, and she said that. There was a line that said that.
Yeah. And then she didn't do it though.
Yeah, she said being in debt is better than being dead.
Yep. But she didn't call 911.
I know. I don't know. I love that we just did like a full commentary on the entirety of the metaphors and morality of the whale.
Yeah, I think it's important though.
No,
and
I do
that's
too.
How to be a rich bitch. Everyone is
right.
No, but I think what that is like that's showing that every so often something that is very real and genuine peeks through and lifts itself above things and is able to break through the mainstream and become something. And I think that only speaks to the realness of the piece.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously nuance, time and a place for when this conversation is more literal, but like, I would love to see people be a little bit less, I want to say like, and I don't want to say black and white, but I want to say like precious, I guess, or like demanding necessity out of
damning. Like it's
like who is writing it, telling it, direct it, doing it, being in it. Certainly, there are places where that is necessary and 100%. Absolutely has to happen. But I just don't feel like The Whale is one of them.
No. And I think that's the only way we can get past certain things is if we grow together and get better, because we're not going to if we just completely write everyone off immediately, especially people that are trying to do good.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people trying to do fuckery and they just get away with it.
Yep.
So let's try to uplift each other and make people better and hold people accountable, but let's talk about it instead of damning someone.
Yeah.
Facts. And that's how to be a rich bitch, guys.
Yep. Pay me.
Pay me the bag. So yeah, that's kind of our update. Next episode, we'll probably go into more of the situation currently in our industry vis-a-vis striking and such.
Yeah, that's going to be really...
It's going to be an episode. It's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. And by the time we record it, we'll know what's up.
Maybe. SAG-AFTRA, no. SAG-AFTRA, just for everybody to understand, there's currently a strike authorization being voted in at SAG-AFTRA. I urge everyone who is a guild member to vote yes. Please vote yes. A strike authorization just means that when we enter negotiations in June, we have the ability to strike at the end of our negotiations, which is the end of June.
Right,
There's no way SAG-AFTRA can strike until after we've negotiated, because that's stupid. That's like me walking in the room like, do you give me what I want? Okay, sit down. Nope, you're striking. Like that's not what we're doing. We're doing a strike authorization, meaning that at the end of our negotiation terms, they're not playing ball. They're not giving us literally what we're owed. And a brilliant package that we've created, not me, but the union, then fuck them, and then we will do a strike authorization. But until then, I'm hoping they listen to us. But I'll be real. It's not looking good. And those are the people you should be damning right now, the people that are not helping artists make
everybody.
Anything.
I
They're
know.
fucking artists for history. If we right now in this industry allow some of the AI stuff to go through. We allow some of this stuff to not, hey, allow the technology. I'm all about technology, but let it integrate properly with the artists. Give them their just desserts for using their body, mind, mouth, everything, essence of them. Okay, cool. We have something to talk about. But yeah, that's not what's going to happening. It's going to be misused. It's going to be abusive. It already is. So this will change the landscape of art as we speak. Fine arts, performing arts, music,
all
everything.
the
arts. Because AI, come and go. We got to work with her, or she gonna take us. Yep. So let's go.
And that will be continued in our next episode
of How to Be a Rich
Rich Bitch.
Give me the
You're so rich.
Payment.